The moment you defend yourself, you lose. Not slowly, not eventually, instantly. Most people don't realize this. They believe defense is strength. They believe explanation is clarity. They believe justification is power. But every time you rush to explain who you are, what you meant, or why you acted a certain way, you are silently handing control to the other person. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He lived in a world where words were weapons sharper than blades. A single accusation could end a career. A single rumor could erase a family name. And a single act of self-defense could mark you as weak, guilty, or afraid. So he learned something most people never do. Power does not belong to the one who proves. Power belongs to the one who makes others prove. Look at how people behave today. Someone questions you. Instantly, your heart speeds up. Your mind starts racing. You feel the urge to explain, to clarify, to correct the misunderstanding, to protect your image. You speak faster. You give details no one asked for. You try to sound reasonable, and without noticing, you step into their frame. The moment you defend yourself, you accept that they had the right to question you in the first place. That is the real loss. Machiavelli never played defense unless survival demanded it. He knew that explanation lowers your position. It places you beneath the judge, the critic, the accuser. Silence, on the other hand, does something terrifying to people. It leaves them exposed. Because when you don't defend yourself, the other person must do all the work. They must justify their accusation. They must prove their authority. They must fill the silence with something convincing. And most people cannot. They panic. Human psychology cannot tolerate uncertainty. When someone throws an accusation and receives no reaction, no explanation, no emotional response, their confidence collapses. They begin to doubt themselves. They wonder if they overstepped. They question whether you are unaffected because you are innocent or because you are powerful enough not to care. Either way, the balance shifts. Machiavelli saw this in courts, councils, and royal chambers. The men who rushed to defend themselves looked nervous. The men who stayed silent looked dangerous. Silence made others cautious. Defense made others aggressive because defense invites attack. Think about it. If someone accuses you and you explain, you are saying, "Your opinion matters. Your judgment has power over me." That single message reshapes the hierarchy between you. Machiavelli knew that hierarchy is everything. He advised rulers not to rush to correct every rumor or respond to every insult. Why? Because responding gives the insult legitimacy. Answering a small enemy elevates them. Arguing with fools places you among them. Silence starves attacks. And this is where most people fail. They believe silence means weakness. They believe if they don't defend themselves, others will assume guilt. But Machiavelli understood something brutal. People don't judge truth. They judge confidence. And confidence is quiet. The truly powerful never explain themselves to those beneath them. Kings did not justify their decisions to peasants. Generals did not debate strategy with soldiers. Authority spoke once, or not at all. When you defend yourself unnecessarily, you collapse the distance between you and the accuser. You turn a challenge into a conversation. You give access. Machiavelli warned against this because access is power. The more access someone has to your emotions, your reasoning, your justifications, the easier you are to manipulate. Defense is emotional exposure. Silence is emotional armor. This does not mean you never speak. It means you speak on your terms, not in reaction. Machiavelli was not preaching passivity. He was teaching control. There is a difference. Controlled silence unsettles people. It forces them to reveal their intentions. They talk more. They overreach. They expose insecurity. And while they speak, you observe. Observation is where real power begins. Most people talk themselves into weakness. Machiavelli watched others destroy their own positions simply by speaking too much. In political chambers, those who defended themselves too passionately were marked as unstable. Those who stayed calm were assumed to be in control, even when they were not. Perception mattered more than reality, and silence shapes perception better than words ever could. Imagine two men accused of the same thing. One panics and explains every detail. The other listens, pauses, and says nothing. Which one feels dangerous? Which one feels like they know something others don't? the silent one, because silence creates mystery. Mystery creates fear. Fear creates respect. Machiavelli believed it was better to be feared than loved, if one cannot be both. Silence feeds fear quietly without aggression. It suggests depth. It suggests restraint. It suggests calculation. Defense suggests vulnerability. There is another reason Machiavelli despised unnecessary defense. It traps you in other people's narratives. The moment you explain yourself, you are responding to their version of reality. You are playing their game. You are letting them define the battlefield. Silence refuses the battlefield altogether. It says, your story is not worth my energy. That message is devastating. People expect resistance. They expect arguments. They expect emotional engagement. When they don't get it, they feel insignificant. And insignificance is intolerable to the ego. So they escalate. They talk more. They accuse louder. They contradict themselves. And with every word, they lose credibility. Machiavelli waited for this moment. He knew that power is not seized by force alone, but by timing. When others expose themselves, you strike once. Briefly, calmly, decisively. Not with defense, but with judgment. A single sentence, delivered late, carries more weight than 1,000 rushed explanations. That is the trick. Never defend yourself immediately. Delay. Observe. Let the other side reveal their hand. Most conflicts resolve themselves when one side refuses to emotionally participate. Silence is not absence. It is pressure. Pressure makes people crack. In modern life, this lesson is even more dangerous. Social media rewards reaction. Arguments are public. Accusations spread fast. And the instinct to defend yourself has never been stronger. But Machiavelli's rule still applies. Those who rush to explain look desperate. Those who stay silent look untouchable. You don't need to prove your worth to everyone. You only need to avoid proving your insecurity. Silence does that effortlessly. Of course, this requires discipline. The urge to defend yourself is emotional. It comes from fear. Fear of misunderstanding, fear of judgment, fear of losing status. Machiavelli trained himself to suppress this instinct. He understood that emotions are tools for others to use against you. If someone can provoke you into explaining yourself, they can control you. So he chose restraint, not because he was weak, but because he was calculating. This is the part most people miss. Silence is not passive, it is active resistance. It is a refusal to submit to someone else's tempo. When you don't defend yourself, you force others to slow down or spiral out of control. Either outcome benefits you, and here's the cruel truth Machiavelli would never soften. Innocent people defend themselves more than the guilty, because the innocent care about being understood. The powerful care about being obeyed. Machiavelli sided with power. He knew that history does not remember who was misunderstood. It remembers who dominated the narrative. And the narrative belongs to the one who speaks last, not first. Defense makes you speak first. Silence lets you speak last. And the last word always sounds like authority. This is why Machiavelli's enemies often underestimated him. They mistook his restraint for submission. By the time they realized his silence was strategy, it was too late. Because while they were talking, he was positioning. Silence alone is not enough. Anyone can stay quiet. Very few know when to speak. This is where Machiavelli separated amateurs from rulers. He understood that silence is a weapon, but every weapon has a moment of release. Speak too early and you look reactive. Speak too late and you look irrelevant. The art is timing, and timing decides power. Machiavelli never broke silence to defend himself. He broke it to judge others. There is a difference. Defense sounds like explanation. Judgment sounds like conclusion. One seeks approval, the other assumes authority. When you finally speak, your words must not answer the accusation. They must redefine it. This is how power flips instantly. Imagine someone questions your decision. The weak response is to explain your reasons. The Machiavellian response is to pause, look at them, and say something that shifts focus away from you entirely. Is that your concern or someone else's? That single sentence changes everything. Now they are defending themselves. Machiavelli knew that the first person to ask a question loses advantage. Questions reveal uncertainty. Answers imply position. So instead of answering directly, he would respond with controlled ambiguity, statements that sound final but reveal nothing. Powerful people do not clarify. They declare. A declaration closes doors. An explanation opens them. This is why Machiavelli advised rulers to be brief. Long speeches invite challenge. Short statements end discussion. The fewer words you use, the more weight each one carries. When you speak after silence, your words arrive heavier. People lean in. They assume meaning even where there is none. This is psychological gravity. Use it. Never rush to correct false assumptions. False assumptions often destroy the person holding them. Let others build stories around you. Most will contradict themselves trying to make sense of your silence. Machiavelli watched this happen repeatedly. Men accused others loudly, only to lose credibility when no resistance came. Their accusations grew emotional. Their tone sharpened. Their logic weakened. By the time Machiavelli spoke, the room had already chosen sides, not based on truth, but on composure. Composure wins rooms. When you finally respond, do it without emotion, no anger, no apology, no explanation. Emotion signals vulnerability. Calm signals dominance. Even agreement can be power if delivered coldly. You may be right. Those three words terrify insecure people. Because agreement without submission leaves no opening for attack. It gives nothing to push against. The conflict collapses. Machiavelli loved this tactic. It disarmed enemies without confrontation. It denied them the satisfaction of victory. Never argue with someone who needs to win. Let them feel like they did, while you keep control. Another rule Machiavelli lived by: never defend intentions, only results. Intentions are invisible and debatable. Results are concrete and difficult to challenge. When accused, redirect attention to outcomes. You can question the method. The result stands. That sentence ends debates. Machiavelli understood that morality is flexible in power games. People forgive methods when outcomes benefit them, but they never forgive weakness. Defense looks like weakness. Silence followed by certainty looks like leadership. There is a deeper layer to this strategy, one most people never see. Silence does not just affect others, it reshapes you. When you stop defending yourself, you stop seeking validation. You detach from emotional approval. This internal shift changes how people perceive you. Your posture changes, your voice steadies, your presence becomes heavier. Machiavelli believed rulers must master themselves before attempting to master others. Emotional discipline was not optional. It was survival. He trained himself to endure misunderstanding, to tolerate being disliked, to resist the urge to correct false narratives, because he knew correcting them rarely worked and often backfired. People believe what they want to believe. Fighting that is exhausting and pointless. Silence lets time do the work. Time exposes lies. Time reveals patterns. Time rewards consistency, but only if you stop interrupting it with explanations. This is why Machiavelli emphasized patience. Reaction is fast and weak. Strategy is slow and strong. In conflicts, whoever controls the pace controls the outcome. Defense accelerates conflict. Silence slows it. Slower always wins. There is also a social dimension to this tactic. When you don't defend yourself, others often defend you, without being asked. Silence invites allies. Defense isolates you. People are drawn to confidence. They rally around those who appear unshaken, but they distance themselves from those who appear desperate to be understood. Machiavelli used this instinct ruthlessly. He let others speak on his behalf. He allowed opponents to overstep. And when he finally acted, it appeared justified, even inevitable. This is the ultimate flip, from accused to authority, from questioned to unquestionable. But this strategy requires restraint most people lack. Ego demands response. Pride demands correction. Fear demands explanation. Machiavelli mastered all three. He understood that reputation is built more by what you refuse to say than by what you announce. Silence filters noise. It lets only meaningful moments through. When you finally speak, make sure it is not to defend your past, but to define the future. That is the ruler's voice. There will be moments when silence feels unbearable, when accusations sting, when misunderstanding spreads, when staying quiet feels like surrender. It is not. It is positioning. Every second you remain calm while others react emotionally, you climb higher. They reveal themselves. You conserve energy. The imbalance grows. Eventually, people stop questioning you. Not because they understand you, but because they sense resistance. Silence builds that resistance invisibly. Machiavelli did not teach goodness. He taught effectiveness. And effectiveness often looks cold. But power has never been warm. So remember this rule, and remember it clearly. Never defend yourself when silence will do the work for you. Never explain when observation gives you advantage. Never react when patience can reverse the game. Speak once. Speak late. Speak with certainty. And when you do, make sure your words sound like an ending, not a reply. That is how power flips instantly.